All right, I know, you understand the power of community. Yeah. But we're going a little deeper with
Yes, sir.
examples, with the communities we've had and made and what it led to for us.
Yeah, you know what the thing is? We don't really understand the power of community, but today we're going to talk about it.
Anyone can give a presentation. Few deliver unforgettable presentations. What's the difference? You're about to find out. Welcome to the Unforgettable Presentations Podcasts with your hosts, world champion speakers and coaches Mark Brown.
Your life tells a story, and there's someone out there who needs to hear it.
And Darren LaCroix.
Stage time.
Ready for some powerful presentation ahas? Let's dive right in.
Okay. It actually should be the power of communities because we all have several communities that we are part of. But this is to encourage you to take inventory. Seriously, take inventory of where you're spending your time because the people that you surround yourself with affect you, affect your thoughts, affect your trajectory. Is it going up? Is it going down? If you've listened to us before, you've heard me speak before, you know one of the quotes that changed my life was the Jim Rohn quote. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Mark, I spend a lot of time with you. I'm just saying.
Yeah, it's been what, 22 years and counting?
Oh, man.
And we're still here.
So think about it. There's several communities. Just preparing for this, I kind of took inventory myself. I'm like, I should think about this. And I realized that often I've gone to conventions or conferences. So back in the early 90s, I spent some time in different communities. In NSA was critical. Toastmasters was critical. But there was also in the 2000s, I was going to real estate conventions and conferences, and I found a mentor there, Ron LeGrand, and I learned so much from him and the people I surrounded myself with when I was attending those conventions or conferences. It was people outside of the speaking world, yet people who were internet marketers, people who ran businesses at a higher level, and they pulled me up. They gave me ideas. I remember, Mark, the reason, you may not even know this, but the reason I have all these videos on YouTube, thousands of videos on YouTube, and I get a check once a quarter, I think it is, once a quarter from Google for my YouTube views is because of that community I put myself in back in the day. Now, I did real estate. I flipped one house and I realized I don't love real estate.
Oh, man.
I enjoyed the income from it, just that one house, but it was a nice income. However, I realized the time and energy I was spending doing it, I did not enjoy. And that was a big aha, just like Subway. I learned so much from running my Subway shop, but I did not enjoy that business. I enjoyed business, but not that business. But Mark, when I was at one of Ron LeGrand's events, I met a guy named Dan Locke. And Dan Locke is an expert, is a coach, is a business coach. And I saw him speak, and I'm like, I got to learn from this guy. He was talking about copywriting. So back in the day, I used to do actual ads in Toastmaster magazine. And just by being around him, I would sit down to try and write copy. And
like him, huh?
Darren, you're making it harder than it needs to. I was like, what do you mean? But don't I have to follow the format? He said, yeah, but you're writing. And Mark, you say this a lot. We just said this in one of our coaching sessions we did with one of our executive clients 10 minutes ago.
Yeah.
You need to write as you speak. And you say write for the
ear, not for the eye. Yeah, because when you write what you read, it looks so flowery and eloquent and verbose and loquacious. But when you talk, how you doing?
Let's just say that my copywriting was not flowery, nor eloquent, nor effective. But he said, Darren, just look at it this way. how would you say it over coffee? If you had a
Yes,
speaker,
yes.
this was when I was launching. The ads were about get paid to speak by next week, my trademark program. And so I had like the back cover of Toastmaster magazine. And I went from trying to write copy, which was painful, to just that change of perspective because of my community, because I invested in being around people who were at that higher level that would pull me up and give me a new perspective. He said, picture you sitting down having coffee in front of an emerging speaker who dreamed of getting paid. What would you say to them? I was like, oh, that kind of takes some pressure off. And I settled into it and it flowed out of me. Wasn't perfect. I still needed an editor, but the essence and the intent was better. It reached more deeply. And it was a choice that I made. And I remember he was helping me in my business. And he said, this is right when YouTube was just starting, kind of like, well, I would say kind of like TikTok is now, except TikTok has been around for a while and it's kind of blown up. But in the early days of YouTube, he said, you got to be on YouTube. And I was like, well, all right, let me go look at YouTube. And I looked at YouTube and he said, you got to put a video up. So I took one of my DVDs at the time and I took a clip from it. And I put it up and I called up my coach, my business coach, Dan Locke. And I said, I'm on YouTube. He said, no. You put up one video. That doesn't put you on YouTube. You need to make it a habit. You need to upload a video like every day.
Edit, clip, post.
Yeah. Cool.
That was years ago.
And years ago, but because I did that, because I had that perspective, because I chose that community, that I could see that these business thinkers were way above my thinking as an entrepreneur back then. It changed what I did and how I did it. But going back, it was the choice to invest in going to be around that community. Now, we talk about Toastmasters a lot. It gave me a place to make mistakes. We talk about NSA, the National Speakers Association. If you're listening to this internationally, in Canada, CAPS, same association, different country. Singapore,
South Africa, all over the world. MAPS and Malaysia.
PSA, professional speakers. So it might have a different name, but that community that I surround myself with are the people who understand me, who encourage me, who know what I'm up against, who, if I'm looking for someone to say, do new photo headshots, I can ask around in the community.
Exactly.
And they may have a source because they had one. This is a good one. This is a bad one. Stage Time University. I can't believe the community that Mark, you and I have built over the years. And then what warms my heart is when I see them helping each other.
Right. Yeah.
And it's truly not just about learning from us, which they can learn from us. They can get coached from us. But when they are encouraging other, when they are supporting each other, we have in Stage Time member-to-member feedback, where people we've trained give you feedback on your speech. Yeah. And I don't have children. It's like a proud papa.
Yeah, you're right.
We have 300 members around the world, and but seeing them help each other, that warms my heart. And Mark, that must be like, not at the level but when you see your son helping your daughter helping your son.
Oh yeah. The proud papa feeling. Yeah, you're right. Because then we have the study buddy program. And what's cool is seeing members of the Stage Time community, as you say, helping each other out, collaborating with each other. I mean, I think it was last fall, one of our members put together an actual event and they were able to collaborate with people. You were there for the event, and it was wonderful how people within the community can support and encourage each other. And I heard you say, in a poetic sense, choose your community and use your community. But you also said, Darren, that community changed your perspective on how you process certain behaviors. And the power of having a community that knows you, understands you, cares about you, that you have an affinity with them, and they have the opportunity to help change the way you and I think about whatever that community is involved in. The NSA has been so helpful to me as a community for so many years. I think 96 I joined, this almost 30 years ago. And to realize people I've learned from, great mentors who to this day still encourage and support me. I'm part of that community. In recent years, I've become part of a LinkedIn community. I'm learning from them as well. And even locally with my local Georgia chapter of the NSA, that community, I'm finding I'm being called upon to serve them, which led to one more thought. Do you serve your community? Because many people think it's your network, use your network. Yeah. But not only should we be receiving from our community, we ought to be contributing, helping, serving, guiding. And in the last couple of years for me in the speaking world, certainly Toastmasters for decades, but the NSA community for me has also expanded. Darren, you share this experience. We find NSA chapters outside our local area. You are Las Vegas. I am Atlanta, Georgia. But we've both gotten requests to serve other chapters in other states, and on occasion we get to do it together. That's the power of community. We can help each other grow. We can help each other adjust from the mistakes that we have made. We can shorten their learning curve. And in the end, it's a win-win for everybody. So please think about your community, not only for what you can receive from them, but how you can serve them, how you can help them, how you can help them grow as well.
Another thought, build your community.
Yes.
Meaning if you're an expert in health, nutrition, customer service, and if you're an expert in that field, well, there's new people come into that field who need that encouragement, who need that mentoring. What community could you build? So there's being a part of it, but there's also choosing to build it. Like one of the greatest things that I've accomplished with my life is building stage time. Building that safe place where people can get that nurturing, get that growing, get that feedback. I honestly believe that most speakers never reach their full potential because they don't get the feedback they need to serve their audience at the highest level, whether it's a coach or whatever. But I honestly believe that is my truth from experience. I would have never become the speaker I am without you, Mark, and your coaching.
Well, I appreciate that, Ray.
But also without Michael Haig, learning from Michael Davis when he gives me feedback. Michael Haig helping me with my script. So what community could you build? Could you build a community where you're the Papa Bear, you're the Mama Bear, you're the one that people go to because you've created a safe place? Also, take inventory. Maybe there's some communities you're a part of that don't serve you.
Need to step back.
Because just going back to the Jim Rohn quote, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Well, if you're the only one in the group who's lifting everybody up, who's lifting you up?
Ooh,
and maybe think about this. Choose your community, use your community, but don't be abused by the community.
Ooh, he doth wax eloquent today. Where is all this wisdom coming from, Darren LaCroix?
Divine inspiration. That's my only thought.
I hear you.
That. But we've had people in stage time that were literally paying us money that I gave them their money back and I kicked them out.
Ouch.
Because they were poisoning the community. And bless them. I don't wish bad on them. But their negativity, their scarcity mindset, whatever their issues were, I had people who weren't going to come to events because this person was going to come to an event. That was super clear.
Yeah.
Super clear. But you got to protect your community. As you build it, you got to protect it. And look, if we're out there and building a community and it's part of our business, that means anybody with money can join, but not all money is good money, as it's been said. Not my quote, but
it's true.
But I've lived it.
Darren, that last point you made, we're chuckling here, but it is a very serious point that there are times you'll find people in a community. It need not be a speaking community. It could be a faith-based community. It could be a community organization, charity, nonprofit, or NGO, and someone comes in and you can feel, you can sense, you can experience the vibe is off, the coherence is gone, the balance is out of whack, and we have to make a difficult decision if we're empowered to remove that person. Or for ourselves, we may find ourselves saying, you know what? I think my time here has come to an end. I need to distance myself, remove myself, and find myself in another community for my own well-being where I can grow, where I can also learn and serve as well. That's a good point. And sometimes we have to make those difficult decisions.
Mm-hmm. And you've got to keep yourself first. That doesn't mean we don't serve others, we don't please others for fellow people pleasers, but at the same time, how can we please others if we're in this negative, caustic environment?
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons I left stand-up. I love my stand-up buddies. I actually enjoyed the environment. Being in that caustic environment 6 or 7 nights a week was not healthy for me personally. So that's why I did both stand-up and speaking for a while, but I realized I had to step out. Maybe you're part of a mastermind that you've been thinking that 1 or 2 people really make you want to not show up. If you want to not show up, that community is not serving you. Look,
that's heavy.
Yeah, you have, what do I want to say? You have commitments, you have your word, you want to honor your word, but you also have the right at any moment to change your decision. I know people who their mastermind broke up, or they just left their mastermind because it wasn't working for them. And then once they left, then it broke up because they were kind of the glue holding it together.
Holding it together. Yeah.
But that's okay. It's a new chapter. It's a new chapter for everyone. You're inviting people to make a new change for themselves. And you, because you're the catalyst, you could be the inspirer that you realize it's not working for you. Chances are it might not be working for some of the other people either, but you just inspired them by your actions. So it's the communities we choose to be a part of. It's the communities we choose not to be part of. I mean, even in Toastmasters, I've seen clubs, the ebb and flow.
Yeah.
The leaders and the decisions, because the leaders always change. It's a volunteer organization, but where do you thrive? Where do you want to grow? Hey, full transparency. We have an event called Game Changers coming up in Vegas once a year. But think about this community. Once a year, I get all the stage time coaches together and I bring in couple experts new each year to keep it fresh. But also we come up with new content each year. Mark, you're excited to talk about referrals.
Oh, yeah. Wow. Been a very, very fun year for me with referrals. I can't wait.
So when we bring in Sam Richter, Maureen Zappala, we bring in Ford, who's kind of like the big brother who tells it like it is.
Always. Ford's sakes. Oh, for Ford's sakes.
But this is something we've done every year. Mark, you know what year this is?
13?
17th.
17. Wow.
17th annual conference or convention.
I didn't remember that.
When I'm thinking back, like I went to Ron LeGrand's event, but there are people there that I connected with. There's another real estate expert. We'll just call him Ryan. Ryan invited me. I got to know him. I gave him some feedback on his presentation. Well, he invited me to speak at his conference. He held a conference. So people in your community are the ones that can refer you. I just got a referral this past week from someone at the NSA chapter that I barely know. He got invited for a speech that he couldn't do in Vegas. And he invited Mark Camp. Mark Camp couldn't do it, so Mark passed it to me. So I booked next week here in Vegas because of my community, because I'm also serving my community with my talents. Mark, I will tell you, I am not a great board member. I realize that's not my talent. And God bless Kathy Kalesha for putting up with me. But I realized that's not, hey, you want to use me for coaching, for teaching? I do the academy every year. I light up when I get to work with them. You put me on a board and the 32 emails you get, I'm just like,
But why? Are you bored on the board, Darren?
but it's just not my thing. And I am thankful, when they have the board members stand up at our meeting, I'm the first one to clap because it ain't me. But that is if you think about it, board of directors, that's a separate little community.
Yeah.
I just don't thrive in that environment. I'm appreciative because without the board, there would be no NSA chapter. Our chapter would not be growing. Look, the power of community. You choose, build, choose to leave.
The tough one, Darren. Here's a question to ask yourself. Is your community helping or harming you? And sometimes we stay within a community for emotional reasons, or we feel a sense of obligation. I brought me in, I've been there for a while, and I know these people. But you go to an event or you be with community for an hour or two, depending on what your schedule is, and you walk away saying, in the cliche world, that's an hour of my life I'll never get back. But I can't leave them because they expect me to be there. Go back to what Darren said, for your own emotional and mental health. Is that community right for you at this time? The truth is, we all grow. I believe we all grow. And sometimes we outgrow a community we're a part of. But if we can outgrow it and leave it in good hands, it won't be a bad thing to move on. We all have seasons in our lives. The question is, when I leave a community, how have I left them? Did I leave in a bad way? Did I leave with a bad taste? Would I leave with an awful reputation, with my integrity and character in the mud? These are also considerations when dealing with the facts of life regarding the ebb and flow of how we deal with communities and people. And we are dealing with human beings. There's always a challenge there, but it's worth our while to take inventory, examine our communities. And again, it need not be confined to the speaking world. I am part of an NSA community at large, the NSA Georgia community, much more closely now. Like Darren, I do serve our local academy as the pro speaker for our next cohort. But it's also my Toastmasters community. And for Darren and me as world champions, that can be a very broad community because we are being requested to speak worldwide. Then if you're faith-based, it could be your church, your synagogue, your mosque, whatever group you're a part of. If you're in a community, you could be in a youth group, the YMCA, WCA, the local Boys and Girls Club, and there are any number of communities that you're involved in. Here's one more thought. While there is power in community, ask yourself, am I trying to be involved in too many at one time? And in doing so, am I really serving none? That's a question only you can answer, but I put it before you because we don't want to dilute the power of community by not being able to serve each community effectively as we should. If you need to serve one or two and serve one or two well, then serve one or two well. But don't seek to be involved in so many areas. You spread yourself too thin. You suffer, your family suffers, your loved ones suffer. I offer this kind of on the side. Here's a father in me, okay? And somebody who was done so much. We talk about kids being overstressed and overscheduled. It applies to us as well. We do not serve best if we overcommit ourselves. Let's take care of ourselves and serve our communities well.
Yeah, if you choose to leave, don't choose in bad taste. If you choose to leave, don't leave in bad taste.
Yeah.
With grace. Don't leave in bad taste, leave with grace, because you also might not know the root of the actual problem. So leave with grace, leave in love. That's all, because you may want to come back to that community maybe when things change or when that
burn no bridges. Don't burn any bridges. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah. And then don't think like networking, yes, but I encourage you to think net serving.
Nice word, Darren.
Don't net
roll today, boy.
Net serve. And that works for me. I'm not a great networker, but I'm a great net server. How could you serve? How are you serving that community? There's a power to the community, but how are you serving it? Just like I choose not to be on the board, but I do choose to teach and coach however they want. I choose to donate things to auctions to raise money for my chapter. I spoke at NSA Denver and just raised a lot of money for them. But I feel like I serve them completely. So there's a power of community, good and bad. So we're asking you to take inventory. We're inviting you to join us in Las Vegas in April for Game Changers. Be in the room. Just like, even though I went to Ron LeGrand's event, it was actually someone else, Dan Locke, who ended up connecting with me and being a coach. There'll be some other people in the room. Frank King will be there. We have our Stage Time Summit, which is a free day. Free, no charge, an extra day in Las Vegas, live or hybrid, that we bring in a couple guests, Frank being one of them, Nona, who is also a
trainer. Yeah.
Yeah, I just hired her, Mark, too, by the way.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so she's making phone calls for me because I don't have that bandwidth. But they're going to be speaking at the summit, but the rest of the summit day, here's all these coaches. What do you want us to talk about? What are your challenges? In the hallway, Frank he's given 11 TEDx talks. 11 TEDx talks. They stopped putting him up on YouTube because they had 11. But that's a lot of experience at TEDx.
Yeah.
So I encourage you, find those communities that you can serve and serve you. I'd love to have you join us at Game Changers. We put so much into it. And Mark, one of my favorite quotes last week from Judy Mandel was saying that you and I at our event, and me and Chris at our event, Find the Funny, work harder than anybody else.
Oh, wow.
To serve the workshop. We love what we do. It comes through. So if you're listening to this, check it out. Go to stagetimeworkshops.com. Use the discount code POD, POD 25. The price is going up at the end of February. So get it now. Use the discount code now before the price goes up. We'd love to have you join us in Vegas or virtually.
That's April 5 and 6, right? April 5 and 6?
April 5 and 6. And then the summit day, the free day, is the 4th.
Yeah.
So consider joining our community if you like us and resonate with us. Look, we might not be perfect for you, but if you listen to this podcast, you know us.
Yeah, you should.
Good, bad, and perfect. If you listen to this, chances are we're a good fit to be in our community because we connect on some level, somehow, some way. So Mark Brown, the power of community, final thoughts.
My thought is this. As Darren said earlier, take inventory of every community you're a part of and ask yourself, how well can I serve them? Because by being a part, by receiving and giving, that's the power of community. We'll see you next week.
Join us.
Hey there, this is Darren LaCroix. Thanks for checking out this podcast episode on YouTube. If you want all of them, not every one is on YouTube, check out your favorite podcast platform so you don't miss an episode. Keep being a sponge so you can be unforgettable.
Check out StagetimeUniversity.com, where good presenters become unforgettable.